my spine collapsed. I wasn't able to sit, so I wasn't really able to
Oh,
do work, to work and work. And that night I had a dream, and this dream is still helping me to move forward with confidence.
welcome to And Then I Did This. Prepare to be inspired as we celebrate the unique journeys of individuals who've had the courage to break free and live life on their own terms. Their lives prove that you truly can be free to live your best and most authentic life. Let's get to it. Welcome to the show. Marta Duda is the founder of CEO's Oracle with almost 20 years of experience advising business leaders and investors. And she has a unique background in architecture and property investing, where she's worked on multi-million pound global projects and built her own high six-figure UK investment portfolio. Today, she helps CEOs and founders find clarity and confidence in their decision making. And we're going to have her share her journey today with us. So, Marta, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure. I can't wait.
Share a little about your background and how you got into investments and architecture and how you're now doing what you're doing. Share a little about your background.
So I gained very unique insights into leadership, entrepreneurship, and also business by growing in Poland,
Mm,
the country of communism, oppression, censorship, church doctrines, conformity. So it was a very interesting time for me to be born over there and
right.
experience this very unique time,
Mm,
not only as a child, but mainly as a woman. So
mm,
being different in Poland during the censorship, it was almost illegal. So as a child, I really learned myself and trained myself to be silent, to fit in, and
oh,
to keep my mouth shut, to be really a good girl, to survive, because many
mm,
of people who didn't agree to fit
mm.
in, they were sent to jail,
Wow.
at least, right?
Mm,
So I suppressed all of the good things in me and my
mm,
gifts when I
mm,
was little because of growing up
mhm.
in this system. But
Right.
then my life really beautifully pushed me in what you've already said, which is architecture, when
Mm,
I was forced to really introduce my weird
mm,
ideas in front of my peers and my
mm,
professors
mm,
at university. And that was a beautiful time for me when I've really mastered the strategy with my imagination and intuition,
mm,
and that just blossomed. That was an amazing time for me.
mm,
And then my property portfolio, which I'm so grateful for. Hope we will have a chance to talk about it because having this, my first business that is really feeding me, was very important in the process of moving from my job to my
right.
entrepreneurship and being
Mm,
independent. So the bottom line really needs to be secured
mhm,
for us, for mainly for our really nervous system to be ready for
mhm,
this
mhm,
big step. And that is my origin story.
mm. So you're not, I know, in Poland now. So what led you to transition and move from there? And how did that happen?
I do live in UK since 2008,
Mm,
and that was definitely one of the big moves in my life where the world started to showing me my direction and my place. Where
mm,
do I belong? It was a very interesting time, but my partner at that time wasn't able to find a job in Poland,
mm.
and he just sent an application to UK, and that was accepted.
Oh my gosh.
So we moved.
Oh,
So
wow.
in 2008, we moved with our child to UK,
Mm,
and that was such a blessing because there was something not everybody realized. So we had, with a better job, better country, we had this beautiful goal of earning the money,
right.
all right? And we thought it will take us quite a long time.
Mhm.
But what we didn't realize that in 4 years after moving, we
Mhm.
were able to start investing in properties in 2012. And after I bought and helped other people bought their properties, I started to see that my financial goal is getting so close,
Right.
so fast. And then, I've asked myself a question, okay, so what's next? So that's something, I didn't realize, and not many people think about it. When you've got and you've achieved this financial goal, most of the time, that's something we're interested in, we can achieve it really, really fast.
Right.
And what I've noticed, and recently also spoke with somebody, a potential client, who was just like, it's so weird. I crossed my financial goal and I've realized it after like 6 months. So we are
Wow.
like, in this rat
Yeah.
race. We are just running, running, running.
Right.
We even don't see that we've achieved what we really wanted to achieve.
Right.
That's something to be careful of when we are moving from one place to another, because the dream can come true very fast.
Right. Yeah. And it's making me think of, I know even Joe Dispenza talking about having dinner with a billionaire who was still not enough. Like it still wasn't enough in cases where people achieve what they want to achieve. And then because they've not done the inner work to feel whole within themselves, that they can continue chasing for more and more and more, but it will be an empty hole that is never filled. I think what you're saying is you can achieve the goal, and then it's like, what comes next after that? Like, what is the new challenge you're going to go after because you're someone who wants to be doing additional things or be feel challenged in some way. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you've mentioned already about this disconnection between
Mhm.
ourselves, and there is such an important topic where all of the business mindset manifestation
Mhm.
courses are starting.
Right.
They are starting from the question, what do you want?
Mhm.
Many of
Absolutely.
us really skipping this question, and that's
Right.
the most important question to ask ourselves.
Mhm. Right.
So if we are working still, or maybe
Mhm.
our listeners are, for example, in a business who's not
Mhm.
bringing the joy, it could be that they didn't answer this important question, what do you really want? And bear with me here, it's changing, so it's good to
Right.
revise because we are growing, our dreams are growing with us.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, so this question is not by mistake there.
Right.
And to be honest, it's not easy to answer this question because
Right.
it is inviting us to go deep
Mhm.
within ourselves. And
Right.
most of the time, living in that distraction world, we are not able to sit down with
Mhm.
ourselves and really not think about it, but feel into it.
Mhm.
And what does it mean for me? So, if I
Right.
will have a car or another house or better job, will I be happy? Will that makes me feel joy?
Right.
Because it's also very important to understand that if we are constantly buying and consuming things, we are thinking that, the things will bring us
Right.
joy and happiness.
Right.
We are really getting addicted into things
Right.
outside of us. And
Mhm.
the true joy and happiness are not a dopamine hits. They are coming from neurotransmitters, which they are from a bit different place than that.
Right.
So it's just like a morning walk. It is a bit of a sunlight, right? It's a glass of water. So
Right.
we can't compare a glass of water or sunlight to a Porsche or Lamborghini, but sometimes we are just looking in what society, culture, religion,
Right.
family expectations are telling us we should want.
Right.
It's
Absolutely.
not something we deeply really want.
Right.
Like
Right.
when I was a little growing up in Poland, I was told that I will work for one employee for 40 years and then I will deserve a retirement.
Oh,
So it
oh
sounds sometimes silly,
my
but
gosh.
it's huge. It's really our bodies, our minds thinks
Yes,
that if somebody made it, our
exactly.
family, so we are think that it's the same way for us, which is not really true. So
Absolutely.
answering this, so maybe this billionaire didn't didn't answer
Yes,
this important question for
absolutely.
himself,
Yeah, that's
which is
usually
what do you really want? And it's
right.
a tough one because it's not only asking you to sit down and listen to your needs,
Mm-hmm.
it's also asking you, after answering the question, to commit, radically commit to
Right.
this promise, because you are promised that to yourself, and
Right.
you shouldn't be lied to this person.
Right. Yeah. There's so many things that people have to think about in starting a business because when I started off also with that, get hired by one company and work until retired. I say retirement because people are tired by the time they get there and then are supposed to have freedom and live the life that they want. So my brother worked for the telephone company like AT&T back in the day, and it was Northwestern Bell, Pacific Northwest Bell, and so I thought, oh, I'll do that. And so I went on that path and I was started as a service rep, part-time temporary employee, worked my way up to actually I was promoted and they moved me to Seattle, and I stayed with that company almost 16 years. And I was because I had started fairly young, I was almost to the point of early retirement, qualifying for early retirement. I thought I've got to get out of this. Fortunately, I had worked as a segment manager for business startups and had worked as in with Entrepreneur Magazine and gave $100,000 to 10 deserving startups earlier in my career, one being adoption.com, which became one of the largest used platforms for adoption on when the internet was, this is like back in 96. Like this is back, yeah, back in time. So answering the questions about what do we want and then, how do we see that playing out, and we don't have to know all the answers, but having at least a guide point of where we feel like we want to go. What were some of your biggest concerns, I guess, stepping out when you initially did that into your own work?
I started learning about property investing in 2012, helped somebody to buy the property in 2013 and 2014. In 2015, I bought my own property, first property, but I was
Mhm.
still employed until
Mhm.
2018.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I just wanted to have, this dream passive income everybody wants.
Right. Right.
So that hit me as well. So that was something I was working towards. And bear with me
Hmm.
here because I was
Hmm.
working towards another financial goal. So it wasn't only one financial goal I missed and I felt empty, it
Mm.
was another two of them, right?
Mm.
So although I've recognized it, I didn't learn the lesson.
Mm.
So that was very important for me to, find this something greater than myself and
Right.
the vision beyond making money. I didn't realize that at that time. I was focused on growing this passive income, which
Right.
was fine. And so I think we can have all the lesson in here that it's not about like ditching the 9 to 5 and just like the day after starting our entrepreneurship. It's about preparing the bottom line. So it took me the last day of my work was 28th of August 2018, as far as I remember. But it wasn't like because I left because I decided that I will be joining the entrepreneurship forces. I didn't listen to myself
Mm.
and my spine collapsed. I wasn't able to sit, so I wasn't really able to
Oh
do
my God.
go drive work to work and work. So I just didn't listen to myself. So again, another lesson. So the world just showed me that many, many times, like if you are not leave this person, the toxic relationship, we will do something for you to help you, right? So the relationship ended from his end, not mine, because I didn't want to release the person, right? So this
Right.
codependency was very huge, right? So
Right.
I was learned in Poland that you need to have a husband, you need to have a
Right.
car, a
Uh-huh.
child, a house, right?
Yep.
40
Right.
years in one company, then retirement. It wasn't like I'm telling my clients and the people I meet when they are thinking about moving into entrepreneurship, so prepare the bottom line. And it was such an amazing advice I was giving to people that there was one day when I heard Richard Branson saying that, and I was just like, you've got this. So important, right, to prepare
Right.
that. And then when I finally needed to go off sick, I had then financial freedom for me to leave the work, go on sick, and recover and feel okay about my son, growing
Right.
my son and myself. So
Right.
I think that that's the most important thing I will say. It's obviously I didn't know that that time that I was doing
Right.
that, but now I can see that, connecting the dots from now
Right.
to the past. I will say that was the biggest lesson and for other people to learn as well.
Yeah. And everything happens for a reason. As we know, there are no accidents in life, right? Yeah.
But if we are meant to create our business and serve other
Right.
people, we will be heavily pushed towards it. So that's very important thing to understand that entrepreneurship really is getting to know ourselves better and connecting with
Absolutely.
something greater than ourselves. Because sooner or later we will hit this draining emptiness like this billionaire did.
Right. Right.
And we will join the small circle who
Right.
really knows that the longer you play the game, the better you understand that it's not about money any longer.
Right. Right. I heard an interesting thing or saw it on, I don't go on Facebook often, but I happened to click on last night and actually Tony Robbins was definitely an influence back in 1996 when I first was like awakened to, oh, I really want to do something on my own. Actually, I think I'd had the feeling before then. I just wasn't sure how I was going to do it. And his son actually had posted a photo of he and his father, and they were in South Africa. And ironically, Jarek, his son, his wife used to work for me in San Diego. I hired her actually. And they, married, moved to Costa Rica, and now they go to South Africa 4 to 5 months out of, is their plan, 4 to 5 months out of the year. They have, a son, a young one. And he was talking about, and I viewed it as like the difference in even entrepreneurship and being independently employed now versus back in the day. I think he was comparing his father's work is more 24/7. He's always on, he's always, speaking, traveling somewhere to go do an event, and how Jarek has set up his life that they can travel and go and be in South Africa for 4 to 5 months. Because his father had asked him how long or how often do you think you will be there, and when he said 4 to 5 months, he was kind of taken aback, and just the realization that we have so many options now with how we can work and what, because you think back when Tony Robbins started back in the day,
Yeah.
the internet really wasn't the sensation that it is, wasn't even a reality. And so even that part of getting clarity around what we want and how do we want our lives to be structured and set up, what's important to us, that is a key also. I'm just reflecting on having seen that last night. What advice do you have for people who are in like a day job or a 9 to 5 that they're not fulfilled? What steps would you suggest that they take to gain clarity, maybe around what they could be doing?
What I've noticed, most of us are taking the next step. If we are professionals, we are taking the next step most of the time in doing some freelancing on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So that was myself as well. So
Mhm.
I was doing some consultancy and
Mhm.
sessions. I was advising investors while working and doing my property investing as people started
Mhm.
to see what I do. So that
Mhm.
was very like a natural path for me.
Right.
So for many of us, what we do in our daily job
Mhm.
that will escalate our skills and we can transfer it into really most of the time you will be just the same job, but you will be issuing the invoice rather than having a paycheck.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's many of us that we started that way. If we can't really transfer the skills, for
Mhm.
example, when I was investing in properties, I used my architectural skills for me to assess the building, do the
Mm.
drawing. So it was something I transferred the skills, right? So
Right. Right.
because architects don't know how to invest in properties. Yeah, let's be honest in here.
So interesting.
They are
Yeah.
sitting in an office drawing or having these weird
Right.
ideas and fitting the investor vision into the environment. So I've transferred the skills, right?
Right.
And it was also so just sharing also from my experience when I was moving into the investing. My ex-partner, he was an electrician, so engineer. So
Right.
we actually had this combo skill to learn
Mhm.
together and to do
Right.
the thing together.
Mm.
So I know that it's not always possible that our partner
Right.
is interested in what we want to do, but that
Right.
time it was perfect. So
Yeah.
it's also a great thing to start surrounding yourself with the
Right.
right people. So the
Mhm.
environment will be so important because
Mhm.
families are most of, if they are traditional ones, they are not really supporting the entrepreneurships
Right.
at all. They don't
Right.
understand why you are doing it. And let's
Right.
be honest, for many of us, it could be this family expectation.
Right.
Right? They are expecting of you to be employed for another 40 years. You can change the
Right.
job, but just it's secure, right?
Yeah.
Why you are jumping somewhere else. Like they
Right.
don't get it. But if you will have people who are having similar spirit and
Right.
they know how to do it, they've done it already, or at least they are trying and doing a research
Exactly.
that will feed your soul. So I will say, and once again, I'm just like support the bottom line that needs to
Right.
be secured.
Right.
But then you can start explore
Mhm.
the different business models, the maybe partnerships, maybe you
Mhm.
will like getting with somebody
Mhm.
into creating something for many is the solution
Right.
as well.
Mhm.
So that might be very interesting.
Mhm.
And I think that will be the easiest one. Maybe we have also some kind of passion on our side.
Mhm.
If that's a hobby or something we
Yeah.
are good at, because if we are passionate of spending the time with our family
Mhm.
or in nature, like myself, let's be
Mhm.
honest, that probably will take a long time for us to be fed by it.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing, but it won't feed us. And we want the income, the impact,
Right.
and the influence and the
Yes.
integrity in here. So thinking in that way, the end goal will be that will bring us a purpose and a profit. So
Right.
it will go this direction.
Right. You know, it's interesting because as you were saying, because it is a natural extension to take what you learn and know how to do in your current job or day job and translate that into independent income. And I think what people don't realize, or once you do realize it, it's a light bulb moment that you have a certain number of hours you're expected to have butt in seat, whether you're productively doing work or however long it takes you. At the point you step out, someone is paying you not for the hours you're doing, they're paying you for the 20 years of experience or whatever the link that it took you to create that outcome. So doing it independently, you have autonomy. So if you look at your hourly rate based on the hours it's taking you to do something, what you can do in the time and not feel confined by I have to be here a certain number of hours. I heard someone the other day say, I have to go clock in. And I was like, I had a visceral response like, oh, thank you, God, that I don't do that. Right. So that's another thing. It'd be interesting to hear your perspective on that.
So some of us are able to do the work in like 2 to 3 hours, but you have to sit over there, right, for it.
Right.
It's so
Right.
true. That sparked another idea for me. I had like, so many conscious employers. If they are that kind of person, we can ask them if we can work for them, but
Right.
we will be like issuing the invoice for them.
Right. Right.
And just switching that, it's really saving them money.
Yeah.
That's huge. They don't have to pay the taxes for us and something. It's about being like proactive and looking for the ways we can
Right.
really be partners. That's a huge thing in here. It's a beautiful thing being like
Yeah.
proactive, helping your
Yes.
employer really do it. So it's worth asking that they will say no.
Right.
That's
Right.
it, really. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think it's like the one thing I think people don't realize or think about, and I'll just say, the way it works in the United States that people make, we'll say someone who makes whatever the amount is that they're making, then the government comes and takes 20, 30, whatever the percentage is of their income. And then there's, money put away for all these other, and then the employee gets what's left over. When you flip the script and you are self-employed, you invoice your client, you have business expenses, you subtract that from what you make, you subtract what office space, a person, what you're paying, whatever overhead, whatever expenses, whatever trip you take where you talk about business, you can subtract all of that. And what's left at the end, you then pay taxes on that. So it's an inverted pyramid, but people don't think about it. So, yeah, one exercise I know I'm going to have people do is take your hourly rate and what you're really making, take what you make and divide the number of hours you're actually doing with the government taking their cut first versus if you were to make that amount of money, subtract out your business expenses, then what are you paying taxes on, right?
Yeah, so it's just simple math, but yes, many of us are not really aware how simple that could be.
Right.
I think that the biggest thing for people who are professionals with such a huge experience, like you've mentioned, 20 years. I remember there was like a meme somewhere, and it was something like somebody was doing the job for 20 minutes and
Right.
was like 1K, couple of, $1,000. And
Right.
the answer for the price was, yeah, but I was learning to do it in 20 minutes for 20 years, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
When you are moving from hour by hour, you are moving really to a space where you are a consultant, a coach, you
Right.
are making an impact with your expertise, and people are paying you per value, not
Right.
per hour. So we have to flip the script in here.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges once you got out that you faced and once you were out on your own and not relying on an employer, what are some of the things you've had to overcome and what are the things you do to keep yourself inspired now on a regular basis?
At that time, because I didn't mention that when I didn't listen for some time, and I was, again having the financial goal, right?
Right.
And I was again climbing it to burn out again.
Right.
But I took the lesson this time. So what I will say in here, the biggest lesson for me that I just didn't trust it. So about like 2016, I started my spiritual quest to
Awesome.
discover what's the thing behind the money and
Right.
why, although I've achieved the goal, it didn't fulfill me and I didn't bought the thing I wanted really, right?
Right.
That was something I dive into it.
Mm.
And I was again looking for it. I was like in this all of the spiritual things and journeys. I was discovering many things. But along the side, I was also employed at that time. So my relationship fell apart. My spine collapsed. My son lived for a year with my ex-partner because I didn't have
Mm.
a place for him to stay with me because all of the
Oh,
house has been rented. I was almost homeless having all of the properties. Yeah, it was such a bizarre situation, but yeah, hey ho. So the biggest lesson that I didn't really trust myself. I didn't have the
mm,
answer for what I want. I thought that the answer is like somewhere outside of me, like the
right,
other people knows better than me.
right,
Mom knows better, right? My employee knows better. I will wait for this bonus, for the rise, for the promotion. I will trust my partner. And it was like this blind wheel of
mm,
overwhelm, fulfilling others people expectation about me, being a
right,
mom, the employee, a good daughter and a sister and blah blah blah. I just went like insane almost. So there was definitely a depression behind it. I can
mhm,
now can connect the dots.
right,
So the biggest lesson I've received when like everything was taken from me, right? So the
right.
partner, my country, my family is in Poland still, my
Oh,
son, my job. What happened? And it was the 19th of April. I remember that
uh,
2020 when the COVID was
right,
announced. I couldn't get out of the house, right? Because it was
right,
like we needed to stay at home.
right,
And then I thought to myself, oh my goodness, so what happened to my income, to my properties, right? So there
right,
was again this situation where I didn't know what to do.
right,
Was this like a huge fear behind it?
right. Mm-hmm.
And that was so what helped me with this background. So what helped me is just I said to myself, okay, so whatever I was doing is just simply not working. So God or whoever you are over there, just help me. I don't know what to do. And I was crying. I remember the whole evening. And that night I had a dream. And this dream is still helping me to move forward with confidence. So is this like I said it's about the trust. So I'm trusting
Mm,
myself and into
right,
the guidance I'm receiving in, for example, people just like yourself I'm meeting.
right.
Just like those small sparkles I can see on my road that they
Mm-hmm.
are showing me direction. And those simple things like the gratitude, acknowledge of something, it
Mm,
is really guiding me along the line. So it's not like my mentor or my coach or my
right,
health practitioner. It's those small things spiritually guiding
right,
me towards the thingy they've got for me, and it's coming from my dream.
right.
So most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship journey is a very a long thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we will be in isolation for a very long time, especially when we are leaving the old circle and we
Mm,
want to move to a different circle, right? I will show it
right.
that way, yeah, and higher,
Yes.
and that will show every couple of
Yes.
years probably,
Mm-hmm.
because we are also growing and we need other
Mm-hmm.
people to inspire us. So, in those small moments of
Mm-hmm.
isolation, sometimes it could be longer than a year.
Right.
Entrepreneurship is a very spiritual and self-discovery journey. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to stay by our side. Don't
Right.
abandon ourselves,
Right.
having this trust that we are
Mm-hmm.
guided.
Right.
So that's why I said at the beginning that what do you really want is a
Right.
it's a huge investment of
Mm-hmm.
time and energy, but that will create this compound and a ripple effect going forward to not spend years being
Right.
depressed and in emptiness,
Right.
but knowing that we will fail to
Right.
learn. It is about having those trust in ourselves and the
Right.
guidance forward. So That was the biggest,
Yeah.
biggest lesson along my journey.
Yeah, we have the answers within us and with our creator, whoever, however we look at that, if we reach out and ask
We can
for help.
feel it, and
Yes.
we can't really deny it.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the name
Right.
for it is.
Exactly.
It's just there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, just so much goodness, so much goodness. Yeah. And for people to realize that it is different from going, I just think of the transition from going from a work environment, if people happen to go into a work
Yeah.
environment, some people are blessed to be able to work from home and have much more flexibility in how they do their work. But it's definitely, you have to find your new circle, as you said. But, the 5 people that are the closest to you are going to determine the level you rise to. So if you have people who are critical, judging what you're doing, not supportive, throwing monkey wrenches, you need to remove them from your circle or expect that it's going to be a really slow, difficult ride getting wherever you're going, right? So, what final words of advice would you give for someone having walked the path you have? It's so amazing going from one country to another and establishing yourself and being successful now, being independent. Now you're working with CEOs. Talk a little bit about that. Actually, before the final words of advice, talk a little bit about what you're currently doing with this, CEO's Oracle. Yeah.
Right, yeah. The name came really from my clients. They are calling me that way. So, yeah,
Oh,
so I was just like, okay, so that sounds like a branding. So the name came from them, really. So I guide CEOs and founders who are like a bit of curious about
right.
spirituality. So most of the time, they know the best course of action. They know
Right.
what to do. They are business leaders, but they don't trust themselves.
Mm,
They are having these inner battles, sometimes
right.
analyze, paralyze.
Yeah.
That is overwhelm because the amount of the decisions they are doing is
Right.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
They are having challenges when they were for a long time solo entrepreneur or a
Right.
founder, and they are having a co-founder or they are growing their team and they are really struggling to delegate, to
Mm,
communicate with their team members. So to the point sometimes that they don't really find answers in traditional way and they are
right.
moving into spiritual realm. So I'm helping them using astrology, numerology, and human design on top of my architectural experience and business experience.
Oh, great. So great.
But to be honest, some of the clients were also corporate forces. So I also help some of the beautiful souls to move from 9 to 5 to
Oh,
having their own business. And that was also something very interesting because there could be something very controversial that I will say, but we like controversial things. So, and unusual ones. But when I help them, quite a lot of them, when I help them find their own purpose, vision, and answer this question, what do
right.
you really want? They didn't mind working and being
Right.
an employee because when they were coming back home, they had the answer to the question.
Right.
So
Mm,
they didn't need to really look for it any longer.
mm,
So that was such a beautiful thing for me to see that using spiritual tools, I
right.
can also see who is destined to be an entrepreneur or a
Right.
freelancer and who is not.
Mm,
Or
interesting.
they can open their own business, but I will straight away advise them to have at least one person to help them because some of
Right.
us are very visionary. We
Mhm.
are like fire starters. We don't
Right.
clean after ourselves. I mean,
Right.
like admin work, optimization, and all of the good things,
Right.
follow ups. And that's a good thing to know about yourself.
Right.
I'm that
Right.
kind of person. So I have to either learn to do it myself, be
Right.
patient and organized, or hire somebody straight away to help me in these things because I know myself, right?
Right.
Some of
Right.
us are moving into entrepreneurship and they are thinking, right, they will do everything themselves. But if don't know themselves, they might fail because they need somebody to clean after themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Your comment around what do you want? What do you really want? It triggered a memory from an event I attended in New York. It was Wisdom 2.0 for business. And one of the exercises we did with the person sitting to our left or our right was to continue asking that question, because the first superficial answer will be the very superficial, what do you want? This, the person answers. Then say, what do you really want? What do you really want? What do you really want? I mean, to the point that people would be almost tearing up or getting, emotional, because what they really want, they're denying themselves of so heavily because they're so busy doing the societal, chasing the car, chasing the house, chasing the woman, chasing the husband, whatever, chasing the title, that they don't even know what they really want anymore. Right.
So true, yeah. Our guests can do also a different exercise with replacing what with why. So why it's important for you, it's also a great way of asking the question. And there are like, if we are brave enough,
Right.
if you are great, if you are listening to us and you are brave enough, go into repeat the question 7 times. So that
Right.
should be deep enough to move something in you, because you will move from
Right.
the thinking into feeling and to listen to your body. So that will be very
So
interesting
good. So
exercise to
good.
do.
So good. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I guess I will ask you now, like, any final words of encouragement or advice you would have for people listening?
So there was a question you've asked about the clarity, which and that triggered me that I didn't really answer that. I moved
Hmm.
to something
Hmm.
different else. But what I learned about the clarity and moving with confidence, they are very interconnected, and we will never have the clarity on front. The clarity is coming when we are acting in the right direction.
Right.
So that I will say. So waiting longer is not really fixing anything.
Right.
Doing and acting will.
That is so true. On that note, that is beautiful. Thank you so much, Marta. This was so beautiful and so much wisdom. And I appreciate you sharing everything you did. And that's a wrap on another episode of And Then I Did This, celebrating the lives of those who've walked away from the beaten path to pursue work and a life that nourishes their soul. If you're feeling inspired and ready to explore your own path to freedom, check out youcanbefree.life, where you'll find resources and support to help you break free and live life on your own terms. See you next time.